The Great Escape by War Machine. Or The Great Escape was not the largest prisoner breakout of World War II. That title belongs to a Japanese camp in Cowra, Australia, where over 1,000 prisoners rushed the fences. What made Stalag Luft III different was not the number of men who escaped, but the number who stayed behind to make it possible. The misconception is that the escape was a single desperate act. In fact, it was the third attempt. The Germans had already discovered tunnels Tom and Dick. The overlooked consequence of the Great Escape is that it forced the Allies to formalize escape as a military duty, not a personal adventure. 76 men got out. But 600 worked on the tunnels for over a year. That ratio, 8 workers for every runner, is the real story. Stalag Luft III opened in March 1942. The Luftwaffe built it specifically to contain its own escaped pilots. The sand was yellow and loose. The barracks were raised on stilts so guards could see underneath. The Germans had studied every previous escape. They knew tunnels were the only reliable method. So they buried seismic sensors in a ring around the camp. Any digging would vibrate the rods. The prisoners solved this by digging deeper than any previous tunnel in history. 30 feet down. That required a new type of shoring, wood slats scavenged from bed boards, bunk frames, and floor planks. The digging was done by hand. The tools were spoons, improvised shovels from tin cans, and a single pump to force fresh air through a hose made of powdered milk tins. The entrance to Tunnel Harry was in Barrack 104, directly under a cast iron stove. The prisoners lit fires in that stove every day to mask the sound of digging below. The forgery team produced over 400 identity documents. They matched paper grain, ink composition, and typewriter fonts so precisely that German border guards later accepted the forgeries at roadblocks. Tailors converted uniforms into civilian suits. One prisoner, a former professional magician, taught others how to pick handcuffs with bent spoons. Another built a collapsible camera to photograph false papers. The man who organized it all was squadron leader Roger Bushell, a pre-war barrister. His rule was absolute: no plan survived contact with the enemy, so they would plan for failure before they planned for success. The original plan called for 200 men to escape. Tunnel Harry was wide enough for one man at a time. At the rate of one man every minute, 200 would take over 3 hours. On the night of the escape, the first man reached the surface at 10:30 p.m. A delayed start meant the exit was not cleared until midnight. By 1 a.m., only 76 men had crawled through. A guard discovered the exit at 4:55 a.m. The 77th man was still in the tunnel. The escape was over. Of the 76 who got out, all but 3 were recaptured within 2 weeks. Hitler personally ordered the execution of 50 of the recaptured officers. The Gestapo shot them in small groups along the Autobahn. It was a direct violation of the Geneva Convention. The British government learned of the executions in May 1944. After the war, the Gestapo officers responsible were hunted down and tried. 13 were executed. 10 received prison sentences. The modern SEER program, Survive, Evade, Resist, Escape, traces its direct lineage to the techniques developed at Stalag Luft III. The manuals still cite Bushell's organizational model. The Great Escape failed in its immediate goal. But it succeeded in something larger, proving that a prison camp could be beaten not by violence, but by sheer, methodical, collaborative intelligence. Subscribe to War Machiner and share this if you value history that goes deeper. In the darkness of Stalag Luft III, whispers of hope mingled with the sounds of scraping metal as prisoners diligently worked. They were drawn together by a common desire, not just for personal freedom but to reclaim their dignity and humanity. Each shovel of earth removed represented a defiance against their captors, a step closer to breaking the chains that bound them. As plans solidified, more men joined the erudite efforts, inspired by the quiet leadership of Bushell, whose resolve anchored them amidst the uncertainty and fear. The camaraderie forged in those tunnels transcended their grim surroundings, creating a sense of purpose that even the harshest conditions could not extinguish. Under the flickering glow of clandestine candlelight, the atmosphere crackled with tension as the men gathered around a makeshift table, maps strewn out like lifelines. Each of them understood the stakes. This was not merely a gamble of chance but a calculated risk against a powerful adversary. They debated strategies whispered from lips shaped by despair and determination, crafting contingencies for every unpredictable turn their daring scheme might encounter. The bond they shared became their armor. It fortified their resolve as they plotted the escape, knowing the sacrifices made by those who worked tirelessly under the surface. In those critical moments before the audacious night of the escape, Bushell observed the eager faces of his comrades, each reflecting a unique story of endurance and yearning. They were ready to embark on a path fraught with peril, yet a glimmer of hope shone in their eyes. He reminded them of the importance of remaining calm and focused, emphasizing that fear could become their greatest enemy. As the appointed hour approached, tension hung in the air, punctuated by the sounds of the camp settling into the routine of night. Time seemed to stretch, each second a heavy weight, until finally, the moment of truth arrived. The escape was upon them.